Contact a Family is a UK charity providing information and support to families with disabled children, whatever their disability. This podcast is an account of a father's experience of having a disabled child.
My name's Ian. I've got a son, Daniel, who's 19, and a partner, Emma. Daniel suffers from a rare genetic syndrome called TAR syndrome, which stands for Thrombocytopenia and Absent Radius syndrome. His forearms are missing. His legs are also weak. He has trouble walking. He uses a rollator.
How did you first find out that Dan might have some difficulties?
When he was first born, he was about a week late. There was some fetal distress. Emma ended up having to have an emergency caesarean, and as Dan was born, the doctor took me to one side and explained that there was some complications. Dan wasn't diagnosed for about a fortnight. At first, they weren't sure at all what was wrong with Daniel, and all sorts of tests were done on him. I'm not sure. Eventually, I think it must have been the hospital who told us that Dan had thrombocytopenia. We went over to the genetics part of Liverpool University, and they gave us a bit more information.
How did you feel when you got that diagnosis?
It was a very, obviously, upsetting time. A lot of our friends and in our peer group, there were about 3 or 4 girls who were pregnant at the same time as Emma, and they were all having healthy babies, and then Daniel was born, and everyone wants to know how the baby is. And you have to explain that everything hasn't gone quite so well this time. I wouldn't call it embarrassment, it's just called not knowing what to say. It was a very difficult time.
How did knowing that you had a child with a disability affect the rest of your family?
It was just a great shock. My father dealt with it very well. He's not alive anymore, but I would say he spoilt Daniel rotten. But I'm sure he would have spoilt Daniel rotten however he was born. It was his first grandson, and I think that's something very dear to him. And Emma's mum, she helped out a lot when Dan was first born. She used to look after him on a Saturday night so we could go out. Yeah, I think the family took it fairly well.
What's been the most difficult time?
When he had his first operation, probably he was about 3 to about the age of 7, 8, going through his leg operations, waiting for him to come up from theatre, and just the general worry and staying over at the hospital, not knowing if the operation was going to work. Everything was up in the air for so long. It was a very difficult time.
Do you feel that you've dealt with things differently to Dan's mum at all, Ian?
I feel it's harder for the man in a lot of ways, because I think the nursing side of things and the whole NHS really is geared to the mother. Certainly when, obviously, you're a couple, they seem to talk to the wife.
How did it feel back in those very first days when you got the diagnosis about Dan's condition?
Why me, I suppose. You go through a myriad of emotions, but it sort of starts off at why me and what am I going to do? How are we going to cope? But you do. Things get better. You grow accustomed to it, I suppose. You know what's best for your child, and you just have to get on with it. Between the 2 of us, the 3 of us, I think we've done pretty well. Dan, he has a good social life. He gets out. He's got a great group of friends. I couldn't hope more for him. He's doing really well.
What did the doctors tell you about how Dan might develop?
Through older hay, we were sent very much around the country. We've seen various specialists. The last one we saw was up in Scotland when Daniel was about 12, and they didn't hold out much hope. They were saying that Dan would be in a wheelchair within 18 months' time. That was nearly 7 years ago now, and he's still not in his chair, so he's doing something right.
What are the things that have changed most for you as a family as a result of Dan's condition?
I think certainly when Daniel was younger, we didn't avoid going out, but I think we were very conscious of people staring and just being very self-conscious, which over the years now you go, I don't even think about it. It's just us, it's our family and that's it. Everything gets better with time is the best thing I can say.
Now, Dan's of an age now where he's very independent and doing his own thing, but could you just describe a typical family day?
He's just finished college, so his day has changed quite a bit from getting up at 7 and going out to college in the morning to now he'll be up about any time before midday, maybe, if I'm lucky now. Teenagers being what they are. He's computer mad. He's trying to get a website up and going at the moment. And then he'll order his taxi for later on in the evening. Like I say, he's got a very good group of friends. Quite often one of them pick him up or drop him off. We're very lucky. Life's for us, very normal. He's been building a website lately, which takes up quite a bit of his time. He's been talking about setting up a business where he'll go to various places of employment and see how disabled friendly they are. So he's quite enterprising, keeps himself busy, and if he's not doing that, he's either talking on MSN to one of his pals or playing one of his many games.
What would you say was the most challenging task on a day-to-day basis?
I suppose seeing Dan struggle doing normal things.
What type of support have you felt that you've needed over the years?
Social services have been some help, giving us things like a shower, stuff like that. But other than through Strongbones and our TAR family group, we've had very little contact with any groups.
And what type of support do you think would have specifically helped you cope as a dad?
I think it would have helped to been told about how Dan's condition would develop, what sort of things would be a problem.
So how did you find out about Contact a Family?
Many years ago, I think it was through either social services or a health worker, gave us a leaflet with your name and address on it. Contact a Family, they've been marvellous. Someone has come to see us 2-3 times a year, just to be able to chat and have an understanding here.
What advice would you give other parents?
Find out about their child's condition as much as they can. Obviously these days, with the computer, things are a bit easier. Always ask questions, don't be frightened to speak to the doctors and the nurses. You're the one who knows your child best. The more you can find out, the easier it can be for your child.
The Contact a Family helpline can provide information and support on many of the points raised in this podcast. The advisors on our free phone helpline can assist with issues around benefit entitlement, navigating the NHS, and issues around education. We can also locate local and national support groups, provide medical information, and link parents whose children have rare disorders. In addition, we produce a wide range of publications. For further information, visit our website at www.cafamily.org.uk or call our free phone helpline on 0808 808 3555. For video interviews with parents, visit our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/CAFamily. This recording was made in December 2008. The views expressed in this podcast are for information purposes only. The material is no way intended to replace professional medical care or attention by a qualified practitioner. Condition symptoms may vary in type or severity amongst individuals. This podcast is to demonstrate the personal views and experience of this family only. For approved medical information about this condition, see the Contact a Family website at www.cafamily.org.uk or contact your doctor.